Hello again, everybody. Zach Tech is here with my WWE Wrestlemania 31 review for tonight, March 29th, 2015. Gotta be really quick because I'm gonna make a podcast with WWE analyst on his channel a little bit later on. But we thought it'd be a long I didn't want to Wrestlemania, but here we are. And I want to say one thing. I called it. I've called the ending of Wrestlemania since the Royal Rumble. As you see by the description, I was right. We had to cash it. We had to cash it. Yes. Fun WrestleMania, let's say that much. We had a great ending as I predicted it since the Royal Rumble. Plus, a great ladder match I expected. And a fun Triple H Sting match that was more fun than anyone expected. I did not see that shit coming. It was fun WrestleMania. We thought it was going to be a weak Mania, but you know what? On paper, it was weak, but you know what? It was a fun night tonight. Let's say that much. Mania ended up being a fun Mania after all. I will give this Mania a 7 point. You know what? 8.0. Better than last year's Mania. Yes, I love D-By winning, but I was right on the ending tonight. Called it since Royal freaking Rumble. Called it since the Rumble. So, let's kick things off with the pre-show matches. Shall we? We have, of course, the tag team title match, the Fatal 4-Way. For the tag team titles, we had Tyson and Cesaro. Tyson getting Cesaro teaming up against the Usos, Los Matadores, and New Day. Getting a lot of boos. And Usos, we've heard that one of the Usos had shoulder problems. We thought they weren't going to be involved in the match. But they won the match, but the Usos, they got injured, was taking out the match pretty quickly. As Jay got in, but he got nailed against the announce table, shoulder first, nailing him out of the matchup, leaving Jimmy to go by himself. And it was a fun tag team match to open up the event. You know, it being on the pre-show. Fun little opener. And I should have guessed that all the people in the corners of all the teams were getting involved, which they all did. You had El Torito getting involved, Naomi, Natalia, and Xavier Woods getting in. There were some fun moments, including El Torito getting in the sharpshooter by Natalia. And Naomi gave Natalia a clear view, even if that interference didn't win the match that much. There was still some fun moments, a lot of chaoticness. It was kind of like fun chaoticness because there was a lot of blind tagging in and out. We did not know who was legal. I don't think no one knew who was legal. Another great spot was the double tower move. You had 3 guys on each side because it ended up being a 6-guy match. You know, actually it was a 7-guy match with one of the Usos taken out. So we had a 6-guy Tower of Doom because Jimmy decided to feed off it and let the other guys beat the crap out of each other. And the ending came after the double Tower of Doom. Biggie was laid out. Jimmy was going for the big splash. He was really going for it. Says, oh, I got the blind tag. He blind tagged his foot. And Jimmy got the splash in, but didn't realize there was a tag. So basically, Cesaro let the Jimmy Uso deliver the damage, but steal the victory, getting the pin on Biggie. 1, 2, 3 victory for Tyson and Cesaro, retaining the tag team titles in a very fun triple. Will end up being a fatal 4-way tag team match, even though it was only 7 guys, with one of the Usos being taken out very quickly. But I'll give you Uso credit for trying to fight alone in this match against these full teams. 3.0 for this matchup. Very fun opener. Very fun opener. Now on to the other pre-show matchup. We had the Under the Giant Invitational Battle Royal. I was like, when I found out this was added to the pre-show Friday, it was announced during WrestleMania today on the WWE Network. For they got some new shows coming out. Talk about that as well. So I was like, I thought we were gonna have the Under the Giant Battle Royal set up a match later on, but they didn't. But Under the Giant Battle Royal was a typical Battle Royal. You know, there were some big moments in there. Like, I love seeing Hideo Itami. Me being a big NXT mark, it was great to see Hideo Itami in there, getting a good showing. Even though he was limited by Big Show. I think Big Show and Ryback limited the most people. Those two were just on a wall in that match. You know, even Big Show was only limited only by the New Day, who were booed out the building. It was kind of interested to see all the tag team competitors get involved in the Battle Royal. So we had, you know, Big Show eliminated all 3 members of New Day after almost getting eliminated by New Day. But anyway, Ryback was eliminated. That was shocking. So then we're nailed down to the final 3. We all knew that it was going to come. We were going to get a confrontation between Miz and Mizdow. Now, we didn't see Miz and Mizdow team up early in the match, especially being apropos to see Alex Riley get eliminated by them. We also saw Bo Dallas in there. But the final 3 were Big Show, Mizdow, and Miz. Now, we all knew this turn was going to happen. And it happened during this matchup. Miz was like, you beat Big Show. I am the guy who hired you. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, bam! Mizdow beat the crap out of Miz, tossed his ass over the top rope. And I was like, well, he's going to get killed. But let me say this. Yes, disappointed Big Show won. Makes sense, it's Under the Giant. Would have loved to see Mizdow win, but give Mizdow credit. He worked his ass off tonight. He looked awesome against Big Show. To see Mizdow take it to Big Show like that, you know, I hope Mizdow really gets a big push out of this, you know. Yes, he got eliminated, and Axelmania got the first elimination. Like, everyone teamed up on Axelmania. Hope his push didn't get buried. You know, first he got buried by Hogan. Then he got buried by being the first eliminated by everybody. He was crowd surfing. But I hope Mizdow, despite a losing effort, does get a big push because he looked really good against Big Show out there. You know, I'm glad that, yes, I would love to have seen Miz and Big. I was thinking, like, Miz was going to try to eliminate Big Show, and then Miz would eliminate them both. I thought that was going to be the ending. But for what it was, and the crowd booing, Big Show winning, I thought Miz looked really good. You know, it took the Big Show like that. You know, give WWE credit for letting Miz look that good against Big Show. So, 2.5. You know, typical Battle Royal, but still. Big Show winning. First Battle Royal. You know, makes sense. You know, he's been in the company for 20 years. You know, won a Battle Royal. Named after Andre. You know, makes sense, but applause to Miz. I hope he gets a big push out of this man. Now, on to the best, probably in my mind, my favorite match of the night, for sure. Next to the main event, just because of the ending. The match I knew was going to be an epic 7-man, and it became a 7, and it was still a 7-man ladder match. It was the Bad News Barrett defending his IC Championship against Dean Ambrose, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, Luke Harper, and R-Truth. And no Sheamus in sight. Sheamus did not return tonight. I think he'll return them all next week. Anyway, this ladder match was what I expected. Full-on spot fest. It was a fun match from the get-go. The MVPs of this match, Ambrose, Ziggler, Bryan, for sure. They delivered some great spots. There were so many good spots. Here's some of my favorites. There was a big superplex off the top of a ladder from Bad News Barrett on Stardust, but Bad News Barrett felt the impact more than Stardust did because Bad News Barrett landed gingerly on the neck after landing that suplex. And then there was just, like I said, there was so many fun spots and like everybody looked good. Like everybody looked awesome. You know, there's a spot when Harper was tied on a ladder and then Stardust put out his little Stardust ladder, but it got broke immediately and Bad News Barrett used one of the ones as a weapon. And there was a lot of big flying moves. You know, everyone was flying their asses off. Even Harper decided to fly. And then there was a great move when Dolph Ziggler was in a sleeper hold of Harper. But he still climbed anyway. You know. And then all of a sudden, Wade Barrett just came out of nowhere to started bullhamming people everywhere. Even bullhamming Dolph, who was climbing the ladder at the time. And Debo looked awesome as well. He had some big fly moves. And the move that kind of, unfortunately, took Ambrose out of the match, there was a ladder in between the ring apron and the barricade. And Harper powerbombed Ambrose like hell through the ladder. Basically, kicking out Ambrose for the rest of the match. So if Ambrose out, it became a 6-man. And the end of the match came with Bryan and Dolph Ziggler going for a tug of war against each other on the top of the ladder. They were pulling the belt, and it was a battle of the headbutts. They were headbutting each other until Bryan got the last headbutt to knock off Dolph Ziggler, grabbed the IC Championship belt, and Bray got the victory and is the new Intercontinental Champion. I've talked about Bray winning. Yes, I would love to have seen Ambrose win. You know what I mean? Because he deserves it. But Bray being the main event guy with a mid-card title, I think it'll do interesting to see a guy who was in the main event get a mid-card title. We'll get to the other mid-card title in a second. But what made me kind of forgive it was seeing Bray later on tonight in the backstage interview being congratulated by former IC champions Pat Patterson, Bret the Hitman Hart, Wadley Piper, and Ricky Steamboat. That was a good moment, kind of making up for, kind of made me forgive Bray for winning over those mid-card talents who may have deserved a little bit more than he did. Because he's a main event guy, you know, who should be the main event guy, not mid-card. And always stacked mid-card, you know what I mean? But taking as it is, Bray's a new IC champion. We'll see how he does with it. 4.0 for this matchup. So there you go. New IC champion, Daniel Bryan. So, and I'm glad there was no cheap endings. Next match that then also we had some interference, but it still was a clean victory for the winner. We had Randy Orton against Seth Rollins. Now, we knew about Seth Rollins possibly pulling out the big thing, which I'll get to in a second. So we had Orton against Rollins. I was like, Rollins needs to win this match too. At least if he wants to cash in later on tonight, he needs to look good. He looked awesome in this match. It was a fun match. You know, the two matches that everyone thought would steal the show would be the ladder match and the Orton Rollins match. That wasn't not a bad match. Even with JG Security getting involved, as we should have known. But the interference was light. You know, Orton took him out early on by delivering a double hangman DDT from the side of the ring apron onto the floor. In the match, in my mind, Rollins carried the match. And Rollins looked really, really good. Really, really good. It was great action. You know, it was a great match. You know what I mean? I'm glad, like I said, the interference was light. And it was interesting. You know. With Rollins coming in with some big moves. You know, trying, like, counting the RKO a few times. Trying to go for the cup stomp a couple times in a matchup. And both guys nailed each other's moves many times. Like, Orton near the RKO, Rollins kicked out. Rollins did the cup stomp. Orton kicked out. Both guys kicked out of each other's signature moves at least once. It was just a fun match. And then Mercury and Noble came back in. And both got nailed with RKOs, including Mercury in midair. And then Rollins was trying to take advantage of it by delivering the curb stomp after a big splash attempt, like his own go for, like he nailed like many RKOs. But then Rollins was coming up for a big curb stomp. He was in midair trying to do the curb stomp, caught in midair with the RKO, a vicious RKO in midair. 1-2-3 victory for Randy Orton in this match. Yes, I would love to have seen Rollins win, especially after what happened in the main event. But seeing Orton win was good, though. You know, continues his war against authority in a very fun match. But I think Rollins looked really good in this matchup. Both guys made each other. Even Orton looked good in this match. You know, Orton's been going on good matches lately because he's got good dance partners like Jericho back at, I think, Night of Champions. And he had a good match with Rollins today. 3-point. I'll be the tag team title match. I think tag team title match 3.3. I think I gave the ladder match 4.0. I'll give Randy Orton and Rollins 3.4. So there you go. Great fun match between Orton and Rollins. Now, on to the funnest match, the most iconic, the nostalgic match of the night. Triple H against Sting. Now, I thought there'd be some interference involved, like maybe Stephanie coming out, but she didn't, thank God. In the entrances, let's get to the entrances first. Sting had a good entrance, like some Japanese theme, because Sting's really big in Japan, with the Japanese drums and stuff, and Sting came out good. And then Triple H had another epic entrance, you know, the ego, you know, but still epic with the Terminator type entrance, and made sense because he inducted Honor in the Hall of Fame, so it made a lot of sense. So then he came out, all Terminator Regalia. The match itself, to take away the epicness of the interference, which I'll get to in a second, the match itself was just decent. You know, I'm glad it became no DQ. I'm glad that they were allowed to use weapons, especially to get involved near the end. But the match itself was just decent. You know, you guys just brawling and kicking each other. But the magnitude of the match just changed completely. The dream of every single one of us marks, especially as Attitude Era marks, is to see the Monday Night Wars finally collide. That one day we would see WWE versus WCW the way it meant to be. Not that bullshit that was the stupid, watered-down invasion gimmick with the Alliance. The real fucking war. WCW, WWE, DX, and the NWO. I did not see that shit coming. I marked the fuck out. I was marking out throughout the evening, basically. There's a lot of mark out moments. This match in the main event I marked out because I called it. But seeing finally DX and NWO get involved, I did not think that was going to happen. Like, of all the things that could possibly happen in this matchup, I did not. That was the last thing I expect to see NWO and DX, and that was just awesome. You know, X-Pac, well done. Badass. And Sean! And then the original three NWO, Hogan, Hart, Nash. God, I wish they were in the ring more. But they brought outside the ring. That was just awesome to see that, and I was marking out. You know, it's just, like I said, it was nostalgia. Our childhood finally came to life. You know, we finally got to see the true Monday Night Wars come to life. You know, pure symbolism. And then both Triple H and Sting brought out their famous rappings. And it was just, and after the arrival of both NWO and DX, the match just got better with the interference, in my opinion. Some would say it's overbooked. Some would say they would love to have just seen Sting and Triple H one-on-one, no interference, nonetheless. But for what it was a very fun match. With the interference and all. And Sting came in with Scorpion Deathlock, and that's when Shawn came in with a super kick. And to see these guys who are both, you know, fellow Christians and born-again Christians, you know, see them fighting each other. I know it was business, but still, it was interesting to see that. And they both, like I said, brought out their weapons. And Sting broke the sledgehammer in half. You know, it was just crazy with all the fights on the outside of NWO, setting up the big moves. Like, I remember Scott Hall was trying to go for the Razor's Edge, outsider's edge, no matter what you want to call it. But counted. It was just fun to see that. That just made it more fun. But then, after the sledgehammer was broken in half, Sting went for his big splash, went for Scorpion Deathlock, and all that great stuff. And then, after the big splash, Triple H grabbed the head of the sledgehammer, nailed Sting with it. 1, 2, 3. I did not think that Sting was going to come all the way for his first match in WWE and lose his first match, which he did. And this might be his last match. That's what he said. I hope this isn't his last match. This should not be his last match. His last match should not be a losing effort against Triple H. And the ending came, and Sting, what made it more ironic is Sting said in his promos, this ain't about WWE versus WCW. It's me against you. And to see that Monday Night War collide, it was interesting despite Sting's work, but it was still fun to see that. And a mark-out moment for me, for sure. Be funny what you want. I bet you every one of you probably did the same thing. Maybe not as overly marking out as I did, but probably just smiled and said, holy shit, we see DX and NWO come out. And then Sting and Triple H shook hands, which made it more interesting. And all the guys were in the ring, you know. And it was kind of symbolism. WWE beat WCW in the war. The king of the WWE beat the franchise of WCW. And it was cool to see Triple H come out with the game music for once instead of the King of Kings music. Take it as it is. I would love to see like a SummerSlam match between like NWO and DX. But we'll see. I'll give this a 3.2. You know, the match itself, without the interference, the match gets a 2.7. With the interference, with the epicness of the DX NWO thing, 3.2. So, there you go. Then you had a performance. Skylar Gray, kidding, who gives a fuck? Oh, I call it bathroom break, along with the Divas match. Paige and AJ team up against the Beltrans. Despite Paige and AJ's differences, especially after what happened on Raw. They still teamed up for an okay Divas match. You know, they've been doing the hashtag Divas a chance. But especially after the epicness that was that last match, the Divas match was once again placed in a bad position. Last year, the Divas Battle Royal, or the multi-diva title match, came on after the Taker match against Lesnar. Bad position. This year, it was after the Sting Triple H match. Another bad position. They took it as it is, but still a fun match, even though kind of AJ was getting pummeled most of the matchup. And is it just me, or did Bray did not get in the match at all? She is interfering from the outside. And AJ was just standing in the corner, got knocked off every time, because Paige was being isolated in her corner. You know, isolated the corner of the Bellas. You know, it was just one-sided for most of the match. And then, finally after the isolation, Paige would finally get the tag in to AJ, coming with a House of Fire, trying to do a Shining Wizard, even being set up for the back attack at one point. But then with Paige's help, Paige would take Nikki out, or take Bray out, should I say, leave AJ all alone with Nikki, nailing her up for the Black Widow and the tap-out victory for AJ and Paige. Now, I said this on several videos, including my podcast with WWE Analyst, that whoever pins Nikki, or in this case submits Nikki, should get the next title match. Paige has had 2 title matches against Paige, has had 2 title matches against Nikki, lost both times. By DQ, and of course the interference, the unintentional interference from Major. So, I think AJ should get another shot. 2.5 for the Divas match. Not as good as the Divas matches I've seen on Raw recently. But still, especially coming after Triple H and Sting, it was just odd placing. Once again, odd placing for the Divas match again this year. You know, first they have to Taker, and now, you know, we have this match being after Sting Triple H, especially how epic it was with the NWO and stuff, you know. Now, on to our next scenario, next matchup, should I say, with the Hall of Fame induction. So there you go. Next title match, Rusev, who had a great entrance with the Russian theme and stuff, and accompanied by Lana, taking on John Cena for the United States Championship. I'll say this much. Better than the Fastlane match. Not as, at least it was a decent, clean ending. Let's say cleaner than the match at Fastlane. And actually, it was actually a more exciting match. Being a Cena match, not bad. I hope Rusev does not lose his momentum. Because he looked really good in the matchup. You know, he looked really good against Cena. You know, still wasn't a, it's not like a classic or anything, but still a decent matchup. You know, like, the only reason you cheer Cena if he takes on Rusev, because Rusev is more hated than Cena. But with a lot of international fans who hate him to death, you can still hear the boost for Cena come out in the matchup. And you see Rusev and Lana, there was a little hint about dissension. And there were some interesting moves that we haven't seen either guy do. Like Rusev did like a headbutt. I wonder if he's going to get in trouble because he did a Chris Benoit style headbutt. So I wonder if he's going to get in trouble for that. And then Cena did like a mid-rope stunner thing. That was interesting. It's always interesting when Cena does different things. No matter how much we make fun of him being predictable. And having the same 5 moves to do. But still, it's still interesting to see Cena do new things, even if it's a one-time deal or not. So Rusev looked really good at big kicks. And he had Cena accolade many times in the matchup. And then Cena officially kind of broke the accolade by getting back up and wheeling Rusev back first into the turnbuckle. Trying to go for the STF many times. But then Lana kind of became the catalyst. She threw her shoes in the ring many times. I'm glad Rusev did not use it as a weapon. Thank goodness. But then as Lana was once again on the apron taking her shoe off, Rusev was going for a big splash. Cena ducked. Lana got knocked out of the ring. Seeing Cena the opportunity. Seizing the opportunity. After that inadvertent distraction with Lana getting knocked off. F you. 1, 2, 3 victory. John Cena gives Rusev his first loss, as many, including me, have predicted. And Cena is once again United States champion, like Daniel Bryan. It's interesting to see two mid-card titles held by two main event caliber performers, like Cena and Daniel Bryan. But what makes this more intriguing, even more, is that John Cena was a former U.S. champion. It was his first major singles title. So there you go. Cena wins into defeating Rusev. But I hope, like I said earlier, last couple of weeks, I hope that Rusev does not lose his momentum like other people who have lost to John Cena that lost their way after being booked so good they lost momentum after losing to Cena. I hope this doesn't happen to Rusev. He looked really good tonight at WrestleMania. And I think a breakup between him and Lana is imminent. You know, if Lana agreed to the match, and of course, Lana, individually or not, causing Rusev to lose, as Lana was on the apron, a bad move to begin with. But then leaving her vulnerable to get knocked off, individually or not, was on the back of the mind of Rusev. So there you go with that. 2.7 for this matchup. It was decent. You know, it's better than the Fastlane match. Would have loved to have seen, like, Ryback. I've been wanting Ryback to be the guy to beat Rusev because I want someone else to beat Rusev, someone new. But take it as it is, Super Cena wins the title and gives Rusev his first defeat. Now, on to our next scenario. Triple H and Stephanie came out. I think they're going to call time because Taker and Bray Wyatt was supposed to be next. Now, I think it was shortened because of an injury. I'll talk about that in a second. But we had Triple H and Stephanie come out, trying to break character, talking about the attendance record. What was it, 76,000? Not as big as Ford Field, though. I was at Ford Field for WrestleMania 23, 80,000 people. So there you go. But then he turned character by saying it's because of us. And I was surfing the internet as I was watching this. I was on WrestleZone.com, and I read that Rock was apparently backstage. Rock's grandmother was in the crowd. Or Rock's mother, should I say. And I was on the tablet saying that Rock was rumoredly backstage, and is he going to show up on the show? As I shut up my Chrome tablet, Rock's music hits. He comes out, better reception than he did in the Rumble. Because he didn't come out the same Roman Reigns like he did at the Rumble. So Rock came out, not the best promo he's ever done since he came back, but it was still a fun promo. And it was fun because Ronda Rousey got involved. Makes sense because Rousey's a big WWE fan, but more point and more of a cheap plug than any cheap plug for the WWE Network at all tonight was the fact that Rock and Ronda Rousey are in Furious 7 together, which comes out next week. And for Rock to come from SNL, he hosted SNL the night before, and to see him come to WrestleMania from New York was amazing. So it was a fun segment. It should have been more fun because I think Ronda should have got more physical with Stephanie. But I think Dana White would hate to see Ronda Rousey get injured, especially seeing all the UFC cards get ruined by people getting injured. But that's a topic for UFC videos. This is not about UFC. It's about WWE. But I'm still interested to see Rousey in there trying to break Stephanie's arm. There was people chanting like, Rousey's gonna kill you, you know. And the crowd was decent tonight. You know, it's always decent Mania crowd. So there you go. Now on to our next matchup. A match that had everybody wondering what was going to happen between The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. A lot of questions were going into WrestleMania, but a lot more questions were brought up the hours leading up to the match. Not only were the questions around about how Taker was going to look, is he going to recover from Lesnar's match, but more importantly, the newer question that was added, how is Bray Wyatt going to feel? Apparently, Bray Wyatt sprained his ankle before the match as he was training for it. And I think it's short because I think the match was shorter. That's why I think he added the Rock segment to give it more time and to give taking Bray Wyatt less time. But despite the handicap of Bray Wyatt injuring his ankle just hours before the match, it was a match I expected. Taker looking good and also making Bray Wyatt look good. Despite the ankle, you didn't see it at first with a great creepy entrance. But it sucked because it was in California. It was Western time. It was still sunny out. So you didn't have the cell phones come out. That's the disadvantages of doing an outdoor stadium like that, especially in the Western time zone. You know, having it light at 8 o'clock, Western time. It was 10 o'clock Eastern, but it was like 7 p.m. Western Central time. Not Central. Pacific. But Bray Wyatt looked good, as I knew that he was going to look good. There were some decent spots. He nailed Taker's head against the steel steps. And that's where he landed on his ankle badly. He did, hold on to his ankle, but he didn't let that bother him. He still performed well. Taker looked good early. And let's say this, he looked better in his match tonight than at Lesnar. He didn't look as pale. And he looked good from the get-go. But you can see he was struggling, especially after getting the offense from Bray Wyatt, making him look good. And there was one poorly executed Sister Abigail. But Taker executed all of his moves. The snake eyes, the old school. What was it? It took 3 tombstones to try to finish Wyatt. And Wyatt made fun of him like this. It was still a fun match. It was just a fight. It wasn't a wrestling match. It was a fight. And it is a fight that Taker needed. Yes, he was still slow moving. But still, seeing Taker come back once a year is good enough for me. And good enough for many. As you would see Taker nail Bray with the final tombstone. And the 1-2-3 victory for Taker. Full redemption. He did not need to lose this match. I knew Bray was going to lose eventually, but Bray looked awesome in this matchup. I hope he really benefits from carrying the match like he did. Not just carrying the match when it comes to the promo load without Taker appearing until Mania, leaving us in suspense until now about how he looked like, and also carrying the match in general. Carrying the promo load and carrying the match load. So there you go. Fun matchup. 3.0. 3.0. With the handicap they were dealt, they still had a fun match out of it. Still very fun. Now, on to the main event. For the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Brock Lesnar defending against Roman Reigns. That's how he started, one-on-one. And the fans were booing Roman heavily. I think we all knew that Roman was going to get heavily booed out of the stadium following what happened to the Royal Rumble last year. And you make fun of Lesnar all you want about him being a part-time champion and everything, but he just destroyed Reigns. And Reigns went at him quickly. With some big wide hands, and there was some small cuts on Brock's face. But then the suplex machine was on a roll. And it looked almost like the SummerSlam match all over again. With Roman Reigns just getting his ass kicked. Eat, sleep, suplex, repeat. Suplex, repeat. What was it, 10, 11 suplexes tonight? And Roman just took it like a man. He took the beating like a man. And it almost looked like Super Cena, like Super Reigns. See, trying to come back, but then Reigns just got his ass kicked more. But then one move that kind of gave him the advantage in the later half of the matchup was when he nailed Lesnar against the ring post, and Lesnar got cut the fuck up. The cut was nasty cut, and I'm glad no one wiped his ass off. Knowing WWE PG now, and we did put on gloves, but I was happy they didn't have people with towels wiping out Brock's face. So then the comeback attempt began, with Reigns coming in with the big Superman punches and the spears, and Lesnar kept fighting back with his multiple F5s. He even did an F5 in the first 30 seconds like he did with Cena. But he didn't put him though. But then both men were down. And then Seth Rollins' music hits. Now, I knew that Rollins was going to cash in at Mania. I predicted that since the Royal Rumble. But I thought Rollins was going to come in after the match. I thought Reigns was going to win the match, then Rollins cashes in. But to see Rollins cash in the middle of the match, inserting himself into the match, not making a new match, just inserting himself, making it a triple threat match, made it more interesting, surprising. So then, after Rollins was inserted, he started delivering big moves to Lesnar, trying to set up for the curve stomp, and he did go for the curve stomp. But then, as another curve stomp attempt was attempted by Rollins, caught in midair by Lesnar for an F5 attempt, but then spear from Reigns, knocking Lesnar off, and Lesnar was outside the ring. Roman was in position for the curve stomp. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Yes! I've called it. I said in the beginning of this video, I called it. I predicted since the Royal Rumble that Rollins would cash in Money in the Bank and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And more importantly, beat Reigns, which he did. I love it when I'm right. I predicted it. I made a bold prediction that night in the Royal Rumble review that Rollins was going to cash in at Mania, and I was right. But I didn't know he was going to cash in during the match. And it was awesome. Because Rollins, in my mind, is the future, not Reigns. Like, nothing against Reigns. But Rollins has been looking awesome lately. His match against Lesnar and Cena in the Royal Rumble made me want to believe in him. Not in Roman Reigns. Believe in Seth Rollins. And to see Rollins finally cash in at Mania, because it's like, come on, you've never seen a Mania cash in before. You know, it's never happened. But to see it finally happen, it happened to Rollins, was awesome. You know, and I bet you everyone went nuts because it wasn't Reigns. Reigns' time will come, I'll say that much. But not tonight, though. This is the second year in a row that the Royal Rumble winner did not win the title match at WrestleMania because of the fans' hatred for him. We saw it happen with Batista last year. A triple threat. 2 triple threat matches. Unlike last year, the triple threat was announced from the get-go. Triple threat was just a surprise. You know, it was unexpected. Because I knew Rollins was going to cash in. But I thought they were going to let Reigns win, then get cashed in on. But to see Reigns not win the title at all, more applause for WWE for that. 3.5, just because of seeing Rollins cash in. And the match itself wasn't that bad. So, so there you go. Rollins cashes in. And I am on Google Plus right now. I think my podcast with WWE Analyst and Grant, the Ruthless Renter, will have to wait. I don't know when we're doing it. We were supposed to do it right now, but on WWE Analyst's channel, as I'm making this video, I was supposed to make it like 11:30, but I think we're going to do the podcast another time. I don't know when, so tune in to WWE Network, WWE Analyst's channel. I'll keep you posted on when I get to do the podcast with WWE Analyst and Ruthless Renter, because I was going to do a review with them. But I think we're going to do it tomorrow afternoon. So there you go. Rollins cashes in. As I called it since the Royal Rumble. I predicted it since the Rumble. And I called it. Called it. Glad it. The future is now. That Rollins has finally lived up to his mantra. Even if he lost to Orton, Rollins was the big winner. And he is the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. The war after Mania is always crazy. But now with Rollins the new champion, Walls should be more epic tomorrow. For damn sure. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for my WWE WrestleMania 31 review. Better than expected 2.0 review. Fun action. And Rollins cashes in. Once again, my scheduled podcast with the WWE Analyst and Ruthless Renter has been delayed. I was supposed to make it tonight. You know, like at midnight. But that podcast has been delayed till a later time. I will keep you posted. And I will post the video when it happens on my channel. And it'll be on WWE Analyst's channel as well. And I think Grant's channel too. So stay tuned for that podcast whenever it happens. That is it. Thank you very much for watching. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you so much, everybody. See you later. Yes.